Welcome back everyone to Nation of Glory, the home of legends, emotions, and stories that remind us why greatness never dies. Today, we remember a man whose name echoes in every court, in every dream, and in every heart that ever believed in impossible. A man who redefined hard work, obsession, and passion. A man who turned pain into power and victories into lessons. He was more than an athlete, more than a champion. He was a symbol of relentless spirit. This is the story of Kobe Bean Bryant. Kobe wasn't born into comfort, he was born into competition. Born on August 23, 1978, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, his father Joe Jellybean Bryant was a professional basketball player. From the moment Kobe could walk, he had a ball in his hand, not as a toy, but as a dream. While other kids played for fun, Kobe played for purpose. He wanted to be great, not someday, but every day. When his father's career took the family overseas to Italy, young Kobe found himself in a world where he didn't always fit in. He didn't speak the language fluently. He didn't have many friends. But he had basketball. The court became his best friend, his safe place, his battlefield, his home. He would spend hours practicing, visualizing, and imagining he was playing against legends. He watched tapes of Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, studying every move, every detail, every emotion. Even as a kid, he wasn't chasing fun. He was chasing perfection. When the family returned to America, Kobe was ready to show the world who he was becoming. At Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania, he wasn't just a good player, he was a force of nature. He scored over 2,800 points, won state championships, and became the kind of player that made people whisper, "This kid's going to the NBA." And they were right. In 1996, at just 17 years old, Kobe Bryant made one of the boldest decisions any teenager could make. He declared for the NBA draft straight out of high school. No college. No safety net. Just faith. He was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, but immediately traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, a trade that would change basketball forever. When he arrived in LA, he wasn't welcomed like a superstar. He was too young. Too confident. Too different. Many doubted him. Many thought he wouldn't last. But Kobe didn't care about opinions, he cared about work. He practiced when others slept. He trained when others partied. He obsessed over details most players ignored. And slowly, that obsession turned into greatness. In 1998, at just 19, Kobe became the youngest starter in an NBA All-Star game. He wasn't just playing with legends, he was competing against them. And that night, everyone realized the kid was no ordinary player. He had something inside him, a hunger, a fire, a killer instinct that couldn't be taught. Then came the era that would define a dynasty: Kobe and Shaquille O'Neal. Together, under coach Phil Jackson, the Lakers became unstoppable. 3 consecutive championships: 2000, 2001, 2002. Kobe was no longer just a prodigy, he was a champion. But behind the glory, there was tension. 2 alpha males. 2 egos. 2 visions. And when that partnership finally broke apart, many thought Kobe's days at the top were over. But Kobe Bryant was never one to fade quietly. He rebuilt, he redefined, and he reborn himself. While others saw pressure, Kobe saw opportunity. He became obsessed with proving that he could win on his own. He trained harder than ever: 5 a.m. workouts, film studies till midnight, endless repetition. He once said, "You can't stop me from practicing. You can only hope to slow me down." That mindset became known as the Mamba mentality, the idea that excellence isn't a goal, it's a way of life. It means giving everything, every single day, no matter who's watching. And that mentality became his legacy. In 2006, Kobe delivered one of the most jaw-dropping performances in basketball history, scoring 81 points against the Toronto Raptors. Second highest in NBA history. It wasn't just a game, it was a statement. That night, the world witnessed a man completely possessed by his passion. Every shot, every move, every glance, it was art in motion. Kobe had become more than a player. He was a symbol of mastery. 2 more championships followed in 2009 and 2010. The latter, especially, meant everything. Because this time, he did it without Shaq. He led the Lakers past the Boston Celtics in a brutal 7-game series, proving to himself and to everyone that he didn't just need to win. He had to. But the cost of greatness is heavy. Years of relentless training took a toll on his body. In 2013, tragedy struck Kobe, tore his Achilles tendon. For most athletes, that injury is a career ender. But what Kobe did next became legend. He limped to the free throw line and shot 2 perfect free throws. Before walking off the court, the crowd rose to their feet. Everyone knew they were witnessing not just pain but pride. He spent months recovering, fighting through doubt and frustration. Many told him to retire. He refused. Because to Kobe, giving up was never an option. Even when the body weakened, the mind remained unshakable. In 2016, Kobe Bryant played his final NBA game. And what a farewell it was. In front of a sold-out Staples Center, with stars, fans, and former rivals watching, Kobe dropped 60 points in his last performance. 60. At age 37. It was the perfect ending, dramatic, emotional, pure Kobe. As he left the court, he grabbed the microphone, looked at the crowd, and said those 2 immortal words, "Mamba out." But the truth was, the Mamba was never really out. Because legends never truly leave. After retirement, Kobe began a new chapter as a storyteller, mentor, and father. He poured his creativity into writing and producing. His short animated film, Dear Basketball, based on a poem he wrote, won an Academy Award in 2018. That moment proved something powerful. Kobe didn't need the game to define him. His greatness wasn't limited to the court, it lived in his soul. He spent his time mentoring young athletes, including his daughter Jonna Gigi Bryant, who shared his passion for basketball. He often said she was his legacy, the future of the game. Together, they would attend games, train, and dream of building something bigger, a world where girls could dominate the court, just like the pros. Their bond was beautiful. Kobe was no longer just the fierce competitor, he was a devoted father, friend, and inspiration. And then came the day the world stopped. January 26, 2020. A helicopter crash in Calabasas, California. Kobe Bryant, Jonna Bryant, and 7 others gone. When the news broke, time stood still. Fans across the world couldn't believe it. Social media froze. NBA arenas fell silent. Even those who had never watched basketball felt the pain. Because Kobe was more than a sports figure, he was hope. He represented passion, discipline, and dreams. And losing him felt like losing a part of ourselves. That night, cities around the world lit up in gold and purple. Murals were painted on walls, fans gathered outside Staples Center crying, praying, sharing stories. It wasn't just mourning, it was unity. For one man had brought the world together in his passing, the same way he did in his playing days. But even in death, Kobe's legacy didn't fade. It grew. Because his message, his mentality, his example, it became a blueprint for living. He taught us that talent means nothing without work. That dreams mean nothing without discipline. That every failure is just another step toward greatness. Athletes, actors, musicians, everyone spoke of him. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, and countless others broke down in tears. Not because they lost a player, but because they lost a brother. Michael Jordan said, "When Kobe died, a piece of me died too." And that's how deep his impact was. He touched souls. Even years later, his influence continues. Players still wear his shoes, quote his lines, and channel his mentality in every game. Young kids who never saw him play still know who he was because his story has become legend. Kobe Bryant wasn't perfect, he was human. He made mistakes, faced criticism, and carried scars. But what made him immortal was how he rose from them. He once said, "Everything negative, pressure, challenges is all an opportunity for me to rise." And rise he did. Over and over. He taught the world that greatness isn't about trophies, it's about character. About showing up when you're tired. About believing when no one else does. About falling 7 times and standing up 8. That's why his name still means something today. Because Kobe's life wasn't just about basketball, it was about how to live. How to chase your dreams. How to stay focused when the world doubts you. How to love what you do with everything you have. And maybe that's the real meaning of the Mamba mentality. It's not about winning every game. It's about never stopping your fight no matter how hard life hits. Today, when fans look up at the rafters of what's now called Crypto.com Arena, they see two jerseys, number 8 and number 24, both belonging to the same man. Two eras. Two mindsets. One legacy. Kobe Bean Bryant. The kid who dreamed in Italy. The teenager who dared to go straight to the NBA. The man who built an empire of effort. And the father who left behind a world inspired to work harder, love deeper, and live stronger. So, when you wake up tired, when you feel defeated, when life feels unfair, remember Kobe. Remember that greatness doesn't come easy. It comes through sweat, sacrifice, and scars. It comes from loving what you do so much that pain becomes part of the process. The world lost a legend that day in January. But maybe heaven gained a coach teaching angels how to hustle, how to dream, and how to never give up. And down here on earth, his voice still whispers. Rest at the end. Not in the middle. Because that's what he lived by. That's what he taught us. Kobe Bryant didn't just play basketball. He lived it. He breathed it. He became it. And even though he's gone, his spirit still plays on every court, in every dream, and in every heart that refuses to quit. He was, and will forever be, the Mamba. Thank you everyone for listening to this story, a tribute to the man, the myth, the mentality Kobe Bryant. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own fight, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Nation of Glory. Because here, we don't just remember legends. We keep them alive. Until next time, stay strong, stay humble, and always chase your greatness. Because as Kobe said, the moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. Mamba forever. Mamba out.